I accidentally read a brainless urban novel where a male supporting character shared my name. However, his mindless, simpering behavior made me feel physically uncomfortable. I couldn't help but curse. This male second is such an idiot. If I were him, I definitely wouldn't be a simp. Right after cursing, I transmigrated into the book, my soul replacing that male second in the original story. This simpering male second was not only meant to be the brain-dead female lead's backup, but also to be the male lead's experience points. The male lead, on the other hand, constantly counterattacked from being an illegitimate son, eventually becoming a tycoon and acquiring the male second's family business. He had a beautiful wife in his arms and the brain-dead female lead as his mistress. Meanwhile, the male second ended up with nothing, becoming a laughingstock. Since I really had a jinx mouth, transmigrating into the book and becoming this unlucky male second, I would naturally change my fate. The first step to changing my fate is to stop being a simp. I had just finished reading a cliché urban romance novel and was left speechless by its brainless plot. Why would a well-off second-generation rich guy lower himself to be a simp for a brain-dead woman? I couldn't help but curse. That male second is such an idiot. If I were him, I would never be a simp, even if it killed me. As soon as I finished cursing, everything went dark and then light again. When I regained consciousness, I found myself not lying on my bed at home, but sitting in a hospital corridor. Soon after, a headache struck and some memories and information flooded into my mind. I quickly realized that I had really transmigrated into the book, becoming that unlucky simpering male second. The unlucky male second's name was Rian Hao. He shared the same name with me, which I guess was one of the reasons why I could transmigrate into his body. After all, in the novels I've read before, transmigrators usually end up in the bodies of people with the same name as them. In the story, Rian Hao was a rich and handsome young master, but he was acting like he was bewitched, mindlessly simpering for the brain-dead female lead Anya Rong. Anya Rong was pregnant with a male lead's child, and Rian Hao even took care of her, accompanying her to prenatal checkups. He even registered the child under his own household registration. Later, did he think he could happily become a dad and get a child for free? No. Later, the male lead simply made a slight gesture to Anya Rong, and this slut immediately divorced Rian Hao and went to become the male lead's concubine, child in tow. But then again, Rian Hao, being the perfect male second in a cliché urban love story, was a simp through and through. For Anya Rong's happiness, Rian Hao even gave all his property to her during the divorce. Later, this money, of course, landed into the male lead's hands and became his startup capital. With the author's guidance, the male lead successfully made a fortune, became a tycoon, and ultimately swallowed up the Rian family and the unlucky Rian Hao. After simping all the way, Rian Hao was left with nothing. His family fortune was gone, and his father was so angered by his brainless actions that he suffered a stroke. In the end, Rian Hao didn't even have the money to pay for his father's medical treatment. So Rian Hao had to beg Anya Rong for some money for his father's medical expenses, only to be dismissed with a few. Oh, it's such bad timing. Hyunjin's brother is currently acquiring your cousin's company. We are also tied on cash. It's just so inconvenient that your dad is sick right now. Even so, Rian Hao, as Anya Rong's most loyal lapdog, naturally forgave her for the hardships of being a mistress, but he forgot that his father was still lying in the hospital waiting for him to raise money for treatment. What truly great filial piety. Unsurprisingly, acting with the brain of such a lapdog, Rian Hao naturally ended up with his family ruined. Some rejoice while others grieve. The male protagonist of this melodramatic story, Hyunjin, with the various brainless help from Anya Rong and Rian Hao, not only became a wealthy man, but also reversed his fortunes to become the heir of the Kian family. You must know, Hyunjin's background was just as an illegitimate son, yet he was ultimately able to squeeze out the Kian family's original eldest legitimate son heir Hyunjo, and Hyunjo was also Rian Hao's good friend. So Rian Hao's mindless lapdog behavior truly harmed both himself and others. While absorbing the memories of Rian Hao that appeared in my mind, I constantly recalled the plot of this melodramatic story. The more I thought about it, the more I found it hard to take seriously. The author's beloved son, Hyunjin, the protagonist, except for the contribution of his little tadpole, had to do almost nothing to obtain all the wealth of Rian Hao and Qian Zhou. And Rian Hao and Qian Zhou, two young masters who had received elite education since childhood, were defeated by Qian Zhun, a protagonist who couldn't even pass college entrance exams, without much resistance. In the end, Qian Zhun became a business legend like Gates, while Rian Hao and Qian Zhou became the laughingstock in the wealthy circles. Fucking hell, now that I've transmigrated into this unlucky male second lead, if I follow the original plot, I'll only be an experience point farm for the male protagonist. Naturally, I'm not convinced. Why is that? What kind of person is Qian Zhun? Why does he get such a good ending? Since I have transmigrated, I am no longer that unlucky male second lead. I am going to defy fate. After a moment, I finally finished absorbing the original owner's memories. I looked at the environment of the hospital corridor around me. I knew that the plot at this moment was that I was accompanying the female lead Anya Rong for a prenatal checkup in the hospital. At this time, Qian Zhun, the male protagonist in the story, also appeared from the corner of the corridor, walking towards me. I vaguely recalled that the plot that was happening here was that the male and female leads had a misunderstanding because of a child, which would not be resolved until the later part of the story. At this moment, Anya Rong also finished her checkup and walked out. Qian Zhun, with a stern face, angrily asked her, "Say it, whose child is this?" I gave a slight cold laugh. "Of course it's yours, the male protagonist's seed. How could it be mine, the unlucky male second leads?" Anya Rong, however, according to the author's setting, refused to admit it and looked at the male lead with an embarrassed expression. Then she turned her head and looked at me. I was so frightened that I immediately jumped up. This is a critical plot point. If I don't clarify it now, I will have to take the blame. Let me make a statement. I am still a virgin, I said lightly. There is no need to say more. Qian Zhun looked at me with suspicion, and the hostility in his eyes lessened a lot, but Anya Rong remained silent, not explaining, just being quiet. Seeing this, I thought about seizing the initiative to avoid having to take the blame inexplicably again. Anya Rong, tell me, whose child is it? You don't know who the father of the child is, do you? Hearing me say this, Anya Rong immediately became anxious, gave me a resentful glare, then turned around and explained to Qian Zhun. Brother Qian Zhun, the child isn't his, it's... Qian Zhun and I were both anxious. Seeing her so flustered, I snatched her pregnancy test report. 12 weeks, huh? 3 months ago, I should have been in Las Vegas on a business trip. I hadn't even returned to the country, and I didn't even know her then. Hearing this, Anya Rong looked at me with a resentful expression. I spread my hands helplessly. I was just telling the truth to prove my innocence. What was she looking at? The male lead Qian Zhun seemed to recall something after hearing my words, his expression turning a bit awkward. Seeing this, I added fuel to the fire. Anya Rong, speak up. Who is it? Sleeping with you without protection, getting you pregnant, and not showing his face? What a beast. Rian Hao, you're not allowed to talk about him like that. Anya Rong opened her arms, blocking Qian Zhun, and scolded me angrily. At this point, the male lead Qian Zhun finally believed he was the child's father and immediately embraced Anya Rong. Anya Rong responded enthusiastically, the two passionately hugging, completely ignoring me. Good, just like that, perfect. I couldn't help but clap my hands. They stopped because of my applause. I stepped forward and stuffed the pregnancy test report and payment slip into the male lead Qian Zhun's hands. Bro, congratulations, you're gonna be a dad. Qian Zhun was a bit bewildered by my actions, but still smiled and said, "Thank you." Anya Rong looked at me with a confused expression, not understanding my behavior. This prenatal checkup was requested by the original story's second male lead Rian Hao because the original Rian Hao cared too much about her health and also spent too much money on her. He even advised Anya Rong to have the baby without worry because he, Rian Hao, would help raise it so she didn't need to worry. But I'm not the original owner. Of course, I won't be a sucker. This isn't my child, and now that the child's father is here, of course, he should pay. With my intervention, they didn't have misunderstandings from the start. I figured they should settle down a bit, so the next day, I went to my company to check things out. But after sitting in the office for half the day, nothing happened. No secretary came to pour coffee or hand over documents for me to handle. Hey, look at my brain. Anya Rong is my secretary. I patted my forehead. After thinking about it, now that Anya Rong is back with the male lead, she probably won't come to work here anymore, right? So, I went out and scanned around and asked HR to immediately post a job ad online to hire a new secretary. Today, I just picked a cute girl from the front desk to temporarily act as a secretary. Soon, I was comfortably lounging on the sofa, drinking coffee that my temporary secretary had made for me. Although I wasn't used to the taste, as an ordinary office worker before transmigrating, where would I have ever experienced this kind of treatment? However, I like enjoying this treatment. But the original second male lead liked to be a pushover and serve Anya Rong. I recalled the memories that had been downloaded into my mind. Anya Rong, as the second male lead secretary, came here to work like she was here for a vacation. The second male lead as the boss had to come to the company early every day to make coffee for her. This is absolutely ridiculous. This idiot second male lead, to please Anya Rong, even bought a foreign imported coffee machine for her. He even signed up for classes to learn how to make coffee, even though he personally didn't like coffee. Thinking about his past behavior as a simp, I felt disgusted. Now that I've taken over his identity, I absolutely won't be such a clown anymore. I angrily instructed the girl who had just become the acting secretary. Lena, help me throw away this coffee machine. From now on, I only drink tea. Go get me some tea from outside. Yes, President Rian, Lena said sweetly. For her, being suddenly called to serve as secretary today was also an opportunity. If she could please me, perhaps those words, acting secretary, could lose the acting part. Soon, Lena disposed of the coffee machine and brought me a cup of tea. I looked at the time, it was almost o'clock. I lazily got up, preparing to go to the company cafeteria for a quick lunch. Bang! The female lead Anya Rong suddenly pushed the door open. Upon entering, she didn't even greet me, but habitually walked to where the coffee machine used to be. Then she discovered her beloved coffee machine was gone, and there was no coffee pre-made for her by me. Where's my coffee machine? Only then did she notice my existence and demanded an answer. That was my coffee machine. Looking at her reproachful gaze, I rolled my eyes and asked her, also, don't you know how to knock? And look what time it is, you're just coming in now. Anya Rong was completely stunned by my retort, probably never expecting me to speak to her in such a tone. After all, in her mind, I was still that brainless simp of a second male lead from the story. Rian Hao, what's wrong with you today? Why are you being so fierce? Anya Rong asked pitifully, looking like she might cry at any moment. I was completely speechless. How was I being fierce? It's just that the previous Rian Hao was a brainless simp, and now he's been replaced by me, a normal person. Besides, as my secretary, you show up at noon. How much work has been delayed? I'm being polite by not scolding you. What's wrong with asking you a couple of questions? Seeing that I remained silent, not coddling her like the previous simp would have, Anya Rong grew anxious and quickly walked up to me, saying, Rian Hao, although I love brother Qianjun, I've always considered you my best friend. I hope my relationship with him won't affect our friendship. I was speechless after hearing this. According to the original story, this Anya Rong would only look for Rian Hao when she needed something and think about her brother Qianjun when she didn't. She even wanted Rian Hao to take the fall this time and pretend to be the father of the child in her belly. That way, it wouldn't interfere with Qianjun's fight for the Qian family fortune. Is this how you treat your so-called best friend? As a friend, what help has Anya Rong ever given to Rian Hao? She clearly just treated him as a backup and someone to take advantage of. Seeing that I still remained silent, Anya Rong grew anxious, her expressions changing one after another. First came panic and grievance, then obvious anger, as if I had done something to wrong her, acting like a complete green tea bitch. The original male lead spoiled her like a princess, showing such obvious pursuit, yet she pretended not to see it, playing dumb while knowing full well she went off to have a sweet romance with brother Qianjun instead, even got pregnant. I really can't understand how could a rich, handsome, and successful man like the second male lead fall for this slut. Things that don't make sense can only be attributed to the author's setting. After all, it's the same with those cheesy idol dramas on TV. The dumb female lead, besides having a bad temper and being a little bit kind, doesn't have any other advantages, yet she can get several rich and handsome guys fighting over her. The most classic examples are dramas like Meteor Garden. Ahem, Secretary Anya. I cleared my throat and said indifferently, Secretary Anya? She looked at me in disbelief because in the original story, the second male lead never called her that. He basically called her Anya Rong and even used mushy terms like Anya Rong darling. That's right. This is the company. You have to use titles, and don't call me by my name either. You have to call me CEO Rian or boss. I explained to her seriously. Then I thought of her relationship with the male lead, so I asked her, speaking of which, aren't you together with that brother Qianjun of yours? Why aren't you working at his place? Upon hearing this, Anya Rong looked shy and said, if we're together like this, working in the same company wouldn't be good for him. I sneered. Indeed, being an illegitimate son with no achievements, and then casually bringing in people through connections, what kind of rumors would that cause? Anya Rong was shocked, clearly surprised and angered by my sarcastic words. What about me? Did I say something wrong? If he still wants to fight for the Qian family's assets, he naturally can't have any mistakes or scandals at this critical juncture. I stared into Anya Rong's eyes and questioned her with a smile. He doesn't want to fight for the family assets. He just wants to help the Qian family's company do better. Anya Rong avoided my gaze and said this, then ran out of my office without looking back. I guess she felt ashamed even saying that herself and couldn't stand being in front of me any longer. I was disgusted by her words, too. Originally, I just wanted to match her with the male lead Qianjun and then stay away from her and live my rich young master life. But now, seeing how hypocritical and disgusting she and the male lead are, I feel that they will cause trouble for me sooner or later, so I decided to take the initiative and take control into my own hands. Having made up my mind, I called Qianzhou and invited him to dinner. Qianzhou is the third male lead in the original story, the second most pitiful person after the second male lead Rian Hao, and also the second male lead's good buddy. He is the eldest son of the Qian family, the legitimate heir, but in the end, he was robbed of everything by the male lead Qianjun, just like the unlucky second male lead. After meeting, I briefly told Qianzhou about my experience, telling him how disgusting Anya Rong and Qianjun were. I told him that Qianjun had big ambitions and coveted his family's assets, telling him to be careful. Qianzhou wasn't surprised after hearing this. After all, in our wealthy circles, it's not a new thing for an illegitimate son to fight for family assets. I told Qianzhou that I was planning to deal with Qianjun as Rian Hao's good buddy, and with Qianjun coveting his position as the heir of the Qian family, Qianzhou naturally supported me unconditionally. Afterwards, we discussed together how to set a trap for Qianjun. Joyful and sinister laughter occasionally came from the private room. The next day, Anya Rong came to work as usual. The HR department, seeing this, came to ask me if I was still recruiting a new secretary, so I told them to pause for a bit. After all, Anya Rong was indispensable as a pawn in my plan with Qianzhou, so it wasn't a good time to fire Anya Rong yet. Anya Rong came in today and still habitually wanted to get coffee. She walked to the coffee machine and only then remembered that the coffee machine had been dealt with by me and no one was going to make coffee for her today. So she sat in her seat, feeling a bit aggrieved and sulked. She was probably waiting for me to coax her. I, of course, completely ignored her. I wasn't the licking dog's second lead from before. For the next week, I called company executives to meetings almost every day to discuss the next strategic plan for the company. As a secretary, I also had Anya Rong sit in on the meetings. Finally, one day, Anya Rong took the initiative to bring me a cup of tea. President Rian, be careful, it's hot. Wow, is the sun rising in the west today? Looks like someone is up to no good. I calmly picked up the teacup and took a sip slurp. I ignored her and continued reading the document in my hands. After taking a sip of tea, Anya Rong waited for a while, but couldn't hold it in anymore and started talking to me. President Rian, seeing that you've been quite busy recently, do you need me to help you process any documents? Hearing her so obvious words, I was secretly delighted, confirming that she was really about to take the bait. I put down the documents, leaned back in my chair, yawned, and stretched. There aren't really any documents for you to process. This is the company's strategic plan, it's all done. I hired experts to investigate before and confirmed that my strategy has no problems. We'll be making big money soon. Looks like my name Rian Hao will be on the Forbes rich list of Doxun next year. When the time comes, I'll give bonuses to the whole company, and you'll get your share, too. I confidently drew a big pie for her. Anya Rong's eyes immediately lit up after hearing this. She must have had some villainous ideas. I noticed this detail, knowing that the time was right, so I whispered to her, "Be careful, recently when I'm not around. Don't let anyone into my office. These documents are very important. We must ensure absolute secrecy." "Yes," Anya Rong promised confidently, but the excitement and eagerness in her eyes had reached the point where she couldn't hide them anymore. Afterwards, I sent a WeChat message to Qian Zhou to call me. After he called, I answered the phone and deliberately told him in front of Anya Rong that I was going out to discuss business. As I was talking on the phone, I pulled open my desk drawer, put the documents inside, and closed it. After the phone call, I excitedly said goodbye to Anya Rong. "Anya Rong, I'm going to meet a business partner right now. You stay at the company and watch my office. If anyone comes looking for me, tell them to wait until I get back, okay?" Anya Rong's lips curved into a smile as she saw me off to the elevator entrance. When I got back home, he and Zhou had already arrived. We quietly looked at the surveillance footage of my office in my study. Sure enough, I saw Anya Rong reveal her true colors, rummaging around my desk. Then we saw her take out the documents I had just put away from the drawer and start taking pictures without even looking at them. Qian Zhou and I exchanged a glance. The fish is hooked. The plan starts. You need to start your actions too. Qian Zhou's lips curled up into a smile. Good. I've been itching to start these past few days. Qian Zhou left without delay to go and make his arrangements, and my work was temporarily finished. Finally, I could get some rest. These past few days, to fool Anya Rong, I was either in company meetings all day or taking her around to visit partners, putting on an act of doing great things. Finally, she took the bait. Of course, if she didn't have ulterior motives, I wouldn't have been able to succeed. However, having read the original story, I already knew that she and the male lead Qian Zhun were the kind of people who wanted to get something for nothing and would definitely not be able to resist. Just as I expected, a day later, I was sitting in my office when I learned that the 2 plots of land that I was planning to use to trap Qian Zhun had been snatched away at a high price by him. I was secretly delighted, but on the surface, I acted as if I was furious, yelling and shouting. What the hell is this Zeus and company? Why did they suddenly appear and snatch my land? Anya Rong, quickly call all the senior executives to a meeting. I want to ask who exactly leaked my plan. I'm so angry. Anya Rong's lips secretly curled up, but she quickly suppressed it, turned around, and went out to call people to a meeting. The content of the meeting was naturally not very informative. It was just me ranting and raving. After scolding everyone, I slumped into my chair. It's useless to investigate who leaked the information. The land is gone and the plan is ruined. Dismissed. I leaned back in my chair, closed my eyes, and looked hopeless. After everyone left the meeting room, Anya Rong even came over to comfort me in a fake way. "President Rian, don't be sad. If this project fails, we can just do another one." Sigh. I sighed heavily, covering my eyes. "You go out first. I want to be alone." A week later, I was sitting in my living room watching the news on TV. The 2 plots of land in Hassan were inspected by government departments and confirmed to be toxic land. They have been sealed off and prohibited from being used for commercial development. I couldn't help but laugh. A week should be enough time for that Qianjin kid to sign a bunch of construction contracts, right? TSK, 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 the penalty for breach of contract might be quite a lot. My plan with Qian Zhou was successful, and he was very happy. The next day, he pulled me and a few wealthy friends to have dinner together to celebrate. We were having a great time when, with a bang, the door of the private room was suddenly pushed open. We were startled and all stopped talking, looking towards the door. We saw Qian Zhun and Anya Rong standing hand in hand at the door, glaring at us. Qian Zhun saw that I was sitting with Qian Zhou and he sneered. "Huh, you two really do know each other." Qian Zhou and I exchanged a look, and then I laughed. "Of course we know each other. We've been best buds since we were kids. Unlike you, you bastard." Ha ha ha. The friends present burst into laughter. They were all wealthy kids and deeply resented him. This bastard trying to fight for the family fortune. "Rian Hao, you bastard. You did it on purpose. You deliberately let me see the proposal and tricked me into letting Qian Zhun buy those 2 plots of land." Anya Rong was so angry she pointed at me and cursed. She showed none of the barely concealed joy she had just a week ago. Hearing her words, I wanted to laugh. You greedy thing wanted to take advantage of me, sneaking a peek at my proposal, and you have the nerve to say that. If they hadn't been such worthless leeches looking to get something for nothing, it would have been hard for me to screw them over. I feigned a look of surprise and loudly yelled back, "Damn it! So it was you, the backstabber who leaked my proposal. On your own, this is a commercial crime. You just wait. I'll have the company's legal department sue you." Her face turned pale at my words, and she didn't dare look me in the eye, hiding behind Qianjun. Qianzhou, on the other hand, gloated, "Old Rian, don't get angry. To be honest, you should thank her. If it weren't for her backstabbing, you'd be the one getting screwed right now." Hearing this, I realized he was right. Old Qian is right. I should thank you too. Thank you for helping me avoid a huge pitfall. Why don't you two sit down and eat something? I winked at Qianjun and Anya Rong seriously. Stealing someone's proposal and ending up filling a pit for them. Doing things like that is truly one of a kind. Yeah. I haven't heard of such a strange thing in all these years. Qianjun, I heard you're fighting with old Qian for the family fortune. After this investment, your uncle should break your leg, right? You just lost several $100 million. What are you fighting for? He probably won't be able to stay in the Qian family for many days. The owner of those 2 plots of land discovered the issue and is on the verge of bankruptcy, eager to find someone to take over, and you just rush to take it. Isn't that like joining the KMT in? Haha. The private room was filled with cheerful laughter. Anya Rong couldn't stand the mockery. She couldn't accept being laughed at like a clown, and she pulled Qianjun to leave. Qianjun was pulled by her for a couple of steps. Then he shook her off, turned around, and stared intently at Qianzhou and me. You just wait. I'll be back. Come back, my ass. You made the family lose several $100 million this time. I'm going to talk to Grandpa and the uncles. You're out. Qianzhou suddenly stood up and pointed at Qianjun. It was like he was passing judgment. Qianjun's face paled upon hearing this, and he was breathing heavily. His body was heaving as if he was a volcano on the verge of eruption. Qianjun, let's go. It was still Anya Rong who stepped forward, forcefully pulling him away. Luckily that slut Anya Rong pulled him away. Otherwise I suspect he would have been unable to stop himself from hitting someone. I sneered. Dare he? With so many of us here, we could each stomp on him and squeeze the shit out of him. Qianzhou slapped the table and roared. After the eyesore was gone, we continued eating. My friends were all curious about how we tricked that kid Qianjun into the trap, so I told them. I learned from that woman Anya Rong that Qianjun wanted to compete with old Qian for the family fortune, so I quickly contacted old Qian. Those 2 plots of toxic land were reported and would soon be investigated. The landowner happened to be old Qian's business partner, so old Qian contacted him and told him that we would try to find him a buyer. He asked the landowner to wait for news and be ready to cooperate with us at any time. Then I started acting, holding various meetings, saying that I was planning to get into real estate. I told the higher-ups and Anya Rong that according to the government's plans, Hassan would soon be developed. As long as we got the land, we would have a money-making cow. Anya Rong's mind was only on her brother Qianjun, so she would definitely take the initiative to tell Qianjun about this. Unsurprisingly, these 2 greedy people who liked to get things without working for them were indeed fooled. Qianzhou also mentioned this land at a family dinner, revealing to Qianjun that I was indeed raising funds to buy these 2 plots of land. With endorsements from both Anya Rong and Qianzhou, Qianjun was convinced that these were 2 treasures and that he had to seize them. In order to seize these 2 plots of land before I did, Qianjun offered a high price. The landowner originally just wanted to sell for $1 million to recoup some losses, but this idiot Qianjun directly offered $1 million. It almost made the landowner go crazy with joy. The landowner immediately decided to sell him the land. Later, the landowner felt really bad about it, and even proactively returned $1 million to old Qian. I have to say, although Qianjun likes to get things without working, when he sees an opportunity, he really dares to put all his chips on the table. But the money wasn't his. He got it from his dad, which was equivalent to squandering the Qian family's assets to help him achieve performance and obtain the qualifications to compete for the family fortune. After hearing what I said, a fat guy couldn't help clapping and cheering. Brother Rian, amazing. You really set a trap. You've got that kid Qianjun completely under your control. Speaking of which, Brother Rian, what are you going to do about Anya Rome? We all know you pursued her for a long time. Did you set this whole thing up just to get revenge on Qianjun? When I heard this, I couldn't help but feel a bit embarrassed, and I quickly explained, that's all in the past. I had a brain fart back then. That's why I went after that moron Anya Rome. From now on, I'm never going to be a simp again. Seeing that I was so sincere, everyone believed that I would never go back to being a simp for Anya Rome. They all clapped and cheered for me. After that, without the various leeching and delays from Anya Rome in the original story, I successfully obtained a project that Qianjun had snatched in the original story. The company's profits also benefited greatly from this. My prestige and status in the family also rose sharply. Anya Rome was naturally fired by me. Even if I hadn't fired her, she probably wouldn't have the nerve to come back and continue taking my salary for doing nothing. HR helped me hire a young and beautiful and also very capable secretary. It makes my work so much more enjoyable now. Life is really getting better and better. As for Qianjun and Anya Rome, the male and female leads of the original story, I had thought they would just end up together. After all, Qianjun, being an illegitimate son, had lost his qualifications to compete for the family fortune with Qianzhou due to this investment failure. Therefore, his current situation shouldn't be great, and he shouldn't be in a position to make Anya Rome his mistress. They should be an equal match as a married couple. If things had gone according to my envisioned plot, I would have even fulfilled the love story of the male and female leads of the original story. Unfortunately, a male lead is still a male lead, and Qianjun's life wouldn't be so ordinary. Anya Rome really has the destiny of being a mistress. Today, I was enjoying a massage from my new secretary on the office sofa when Qianzhou suddenly called, telling me some news. That Qianjun had opened a new company, reorganized his forces, and was preparing to compete with us. Wait, isn't your father still not giving up on this illegitimate son? Where did he get the money? I asked, puzzled. Qianzhou explained. Apparently, the family of Qianjun's arranged marriage partner found out that he lost billions in this investment and looked down on him even more. But that guy had some kind of luck and actually got together with the Sima family's young lady Sima Lingju. Sima Lingju became inexplicably infatuated with Qianjun, insisted on marrying him, and hadn't even been together for a few days before she started throwing money at him. Listening to Qianzhou's teeth-gritting tone, I couldn't help but feel a bit tense. Anyone who heard this would inevitably feel a little jealous, but I wasn't surprised. After all, Qianjun was the male lead. The male lead naturally has the author's golden finger, and it's normal for him to have good luck and be liked by women. It's just a pity for that unlucky woman, Anya Rome. I thought that by thwarting the male lead Qianjun's opportunity to compete for the Qian family's inheritance, I could at least fulfill her love with Qianjun. I didn't expect that this scumbag Qianjun would hook up with another woman. Does that mean Anya Rome would still end up as a mistress who couldn't see the light of day? No way, absolutely not. I don't agree. It's not because I sympathize with Anya Rome or want to be a lapdog like the original second male lead. It's because I screwed over Qianjun once, and he definitely resents me. The reason he set up a new company is to compete with me. If I don't completely crush him, he'll come looking for revenge sooner or later. Therefore, I called Anya Rome. After she answered, Anya Rome's tone was very surprised. Brother Rian Hao, you actually called me. I got goosebumps. She used to call the original host Rian Hao by his name directly. Even after I transmigrated into Rian Hao, she still called him that. I'm not her brother Qianjun, so I didn't expect her to suddenly call me this. Then, before I could speak, Anya Rome began to cry. Brother Qianjun is a jerk. He actually wants me to abort the child. How could he bear to? This is our baby. Yes, I immediately agreed. He's really not worthy of being a man. As a result, when Anya Rome heard this, she became unhappy and immediately defended Qianjun. You can't say that about him. He also has his difficulties. He's doing this because it's just so I can have a better life in the future. I don't blame him. I only blame my poor background. After hearing her words, I was stunned and almost couldn't hold back my laughter. The extent of Anya Rome's love brain was so severe, calling her the female version of Rian Hao wouldn't be an exaggeration, right? Speaking of which, in the original story, the second male lead desperately acted as Anya Rome's lapdog, while Anya Rome was endlessly a lapdog for the male lead Qianjun. Seeing her say this, I had no choice but to comfort her. Don't get excited. You must take care of your pregnancy. You can only win his heart by giving birth to this child. Don't do anything foolish. As long as you have the child in hand, Qianjun will eventually abandon that Sima heiress and come back to you. Anya Rong was very happy after hearing this. Brother Rian Hao, you're right. That's what I thought too. Afterwards, I learned that she had nowhere to go, so I specifically arranged for her to stay in a very good private hospital. I also hired an aunt to take care of her daily life during her pregnancy. All of this was to ensure the smooth birth of this child. In the blink of an eye, more than half a year had passed. Anya Rong had also given birth to a son, and today was the engagement banquet for Qianjun and the Sima heiress Sima Lingju. The plot was similar to the original story, but Qianjun's engagement partner had changed. Because the Sima family's influence in the circle was second to none, after being invited, I had no choice but to attend. Everything for the engagement banquet was handled by the Sima family. It felt like they were recruiting Qianjun as Olivian's son-in-law. My friends in the circle sitting together were discussing, Qianjun's fate is really good. He failed in his investments back then and was basically out of the running in the Qian family's property battle. Who would have thought he'd climb so high so quickly? Yeah, with the Sima family as his backer, his company's development will be rapid. But doesn't he have a little girlfriend? I heard she's even pregnant with his child. Does the Sima family know about this? Hearing this, I quickly sent a message to Anya Rong. Qianjun is having an engagement banquet with Sima Lingju at the Hongdae Hotel, but he looks very unhappy. The one he loves the most should still be you, waiting for you to save him. Do you want to come? Anya Rong immediately replied, I'll bring my son and snatch him back. Seeing this message, I immediately grinned. The good show was about to begin. A friend next to me nudged me. Brother Rian, what are you smiling about? So happy. I just thought of something happy. 30 minutes later, the engagement ceremony had reached the point where the couple was exchanging tokens of affection. At this moment, Anya Rong finally appeared. She rushed onto the stage, holding her and Qianjun's son. Brother Qianjun, this is our son. I gave birth to him. Qianjun's face turned white and then red with anger. He loudly scolded, You're talking nonsense. This isn't my son. Don't talk nonsense. Someone, go throw her out. Anya Rong, however, held the child, knelt down, and cried out, I know you love me. All of this was forced upon you by the Qian family. Come with me. Leave the Qian family, and from now on, we'll live our own small family life. Qianjun's face had already turned green with anger. He even wanted to hit someone, but seeing everyone in the audience pointing and whispering about him, he felt guilty. The people from both the Qian and Sima families all had black faces. They were all staring at Qianjun, their eyes looking like they wanted to swallow him alive. Of course, except for Qianzhou, his lips were curled up, struggling not to laugh out loud. But the joy on his face was impossible to hide. Meanwhile, Sima Lingju, Qianjun's fiancée, who had been dumbfounded for a long time, also came back to her senses. Slap. She slapped Qianjun across the face. You, Qianjun, you told me you only loved me, but you have a woman outside, and even a son. What? Are you saying marrying me was the Qian family forcing you? Sima Lingju pointed at Qianjun and questioned him. No, Lingju, listen to me. I really want to marry you. You're talking nonsense. You don't love her at all. You just want her money. You love me. You're spouting nonsense, Anya Rong. You despicable woman. Qianjun pointed at Anya Rong and cursed, then explained to Sima Lingju. This child was born of her own accord. I wasn't willing. Lingju, I love you. You must believe me. But the young Miss Sima Lingju couldn't listen to a word and in anger slapped him across the face again. Break the engagement. Break the engagement. I won't marry this. Sima Lingju shouted, throwing the engagement token on Qianjun. Then Sima Lingju left in a huff, but Qianjun chased after her, grabbing her hand. Upon seeing this, Anya Rong was furious. She stood up and rushed over, grabbing Qianjun's clothes. Qianjun, you make it clear. Who do you love, you unconscionable man? I worked so hard to give birth to a child for you, and yet. At this time, the child in Anya Rong's arms also started crying. Sima family security guards also went on stage. The scene became a chaotic mess. The guests present were all chattering and very lively, Clearly everyone was very happy to see the Sima family make such a big joke. Seeing that my goal was achieved, I did not waste any more time here and quietly left the hotel. With Anya Rong's outburst, her and Qianjun's affair was exposed to everyone. Qianjun's marriage with Sima Linju also fell through. Moreover, this mess of Qianjun's caused the Qian family to lose face completely, so Qianjun was also directly kicked out of the family. His threat to me was completely eliminated. Originally, according to the original story, Qianjun's marriage with a daughter of a powerful family would have garnered support from his father-in-law, and his company would have developed smoothly, easily surpassing mine. But now his marriage with Miss Sima was called off, and therefore he lost his father-in-law's support. His fledgling company was also blacklisted by various industries and unable to continue operations. And because this incident blew up so badly, his deeds had spread throughout our rich circles. No family's daughter would be seduced by this scumbag again. Now I no longer need to deal with him, so I can focus on my company's projects and everything is thriving. Standing in front of the office window, I looked down at the scenery outside, imagining the scene of my company becoming bigger and stronger in the future. Just then, I suddenly heard a baby's cry behind me. I turned around and saw my secretary push open the door, and then Anya Rome walked in, holding the baby. Reinhao, I brought our son. Anya Rome forced a smile and walked over, holding the child. I was instantly dumbfounded. Then I loudly stopped her. Wait, what do you mean, our child? What the hell are you playing at? Brother Reinhao, let's get married. After experiencing so much, I realized that the person who loves me is you. Qianjun doesn't love me at all, he's a dog. You accompanied me for the prenatal checkup for this child, and you arranged the hospital and nurses for the delivery. You are the child's real father. Hearing her words, I smiled awkwardly. It's true that Qianjun is a Jinan, but I never loved you, on your own. The only reason I helped you successfully give birth was to deal with Qianjun. At most, I helped you, on your own, and Qianjun, this pair of dogs and men, get together. I never wanted to be the child's father. Seeing that I didn't say anything, Anya Rome took another step forward, saying with a cry, Reinhao, from now on, you'll be my son's father. Consider this child as a gift from me to you. Then the three of us can live a happy life. Hearing her outrageous words, my blood rushed to my head, and I almost fainted. I took 2 steps back, leaned against the window, and after a while, I recovered. Seeing this, Anya Rong excitedly exclaimed, Look at you. You're even too happy to stand properly. Come and hold our child. She then held the child out, signaling me to take it. I couldn't help but roll my eyes. Anya Rong, are you blind? What did you see that I was happy? I was thunderstruck by your insane words. What kind of brain do you have to say such things? Do I look like a sucker? You're even giving me a Bionegitone free deal. Thank you, but no. If it were the male's second lead from the original story, he might have happily agreed. Too bad I'm not a sucker, and I don't like you. You brainless, vile, so-called heroine. I cursed Anya Rong fiercely in my heart, but on the surface, I restrained myself. After all, my secretary was present, and I couldn't behave too rudely. I was also afraid that if I pushed Anya Rong too hard, she might do something insane on the spot. You could find Qianjun or someone else. Don't come looking for me. I don't have any interest in being a sucker, I said coldly, then turned around, my back to her. Reinhao, don't be insincere. I know you've always loved me. Now that I've thought things through, I've come back with a child. Shut up. Stop talking nonsense. I don't love you at all, and you've never loved me. After hearing this, she cried aggrievedly. I know you're angry about me falling in love with Qianjun before. You'll understand when you think it through. I'll wait for you to come to me. After saying that, she left my office with the child. After she left, I breathed a sigh of relief. That plague, she's finally gone. Damn it. Her arrival ruined my good mood for the whole day. After seeing Anya Rong off, the secretary girl came back. I roared. In the future, if that woman comes again, throw her out directly. Don't let her come up. The secretary girl said aggrievedly. It's just that she said that Co Rian was the father of her child, so I let her come up. I was speechless, then explained to her. I'm not the father of her child, Qianjun is. It's that man from the Sima family engagement banquet that caused such a stir a while ago. He's the father of her son. Ah. The secretary looked at me in astonishment. Also, this Anya Rong used to be my secretary. If you're not afraid of her coming back to take your place, then by all means, let her come up. I teased her with a cold smile. Upon hearing this, the secretary frantically waved her hands. No, 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 President Rian. I will definitely not let her come up in the future. After scaring her a little, seeing her panicked yet cute expression, my mood improved a lot. Afterward, I deleted Anya Rong's WeChat and blacklisted her phone number to make sure she wouldn't bother me. Not long after, Qianzhou called, saying that he was also getting engaged. The woman is a young lady from our circle who had just returned from studying abroad and was a perfect match for Qianzhou in terms of family background. It's over. This shows that the Qian family has decided to let Qianzhou inherit the family business, so they found him a suitable wife. Without the interference of the original story's male lead Qianzhun, Qianzhou was finally able to inherit the family business as he wished. I asked Qianzhou about where that kid Qianzhun was hanging out now. Qianzhou said that although Qianzhun had a bad reputation, he had a good-looking face and some people still took a liking to him. He's currently being kept by a rich woman, and she's the type of rich Annie who weighs pounds. The rich woman knows he loves to fool around with women, so she keeps him by her side almost hours a day, giving him no chance to sneak out. If he dares to look at another woman, he gets a beating from the rich woman. But Qianzhun, with his despicable nature, has to endure it. After all, he has a bad reputation now and was also driven out of the Qian family. He's almost been blacklisted by all the major companies in the city, and he's someone who didn't even go to university, so it's almost impossible for him to apply for a better job. At least following the rich woman, he can be worry-free about food and clothing. With his lazy nature that hates working, he's naturally happy to be the rich auntie's dog. I inquired about the rich woman's situation and found out where that kid Qianjun lives, so I went out and bought a new phone and sent a message to Anya Rong. I told her that Qianjun was now attached to a rich woman and that he had money, and told Anya Rong to go find him. I knew that this despicable woman Anya Rong would not let this opportunity pass. After all, she needs to find someone to support her and her son now. In this way, she will get entangled with that kid Qianjun and even that rich auntie, and she won't have time to bother me anymore. Well, everyone has a bright future.